So when you combine Turkey with the rest of the region, it represents the region's largest economy, its largest consumer market, and with an economic development model that's the envy of the rest of the region. It's also a country with deep historical links to MENA that flow both ways and continue to flow. What we'd like to shed light on today at this panel is really to kind of think through together with our esteemed panelists the best way in which we can better integrate our respective ecosystems and how we can kind of generally work together. So with that, I'd like to welcome our panelists. They represent probably the best cross-section of both investors and entrepreneurs that Turkey has to offer. So with that, may I hand over to you guys to introduce yourselves.
Yeah. I'm one of the co-founders of Insider, also CEO of Insider. We have predictive marketing platform that we integrate to websites and also mobile apps. We do real-time personalization. Currently, we have 5 physical offices in different countries, and Dubai is also one of them.
Kerim?
Hi, this is Kerim Ture from Istanbul, from Modanisa.com. And we are a fashion e-tailer for Muslim women for hijab clothing and exporting to 85 different countries worldwide. And happy to be here.
Excellent. Numan?
Hello everyone, my name is Noman and I'm from 212 founder partner. 212 is a VC firm that invests in Turkey, and with a second fund we will be investing in the region too.
Hi everybody, my name is Jungkook Durgan. I want to thank everybody who stuck around until the very end to hear us out. We're from Astanova Capital. We're one of the most active tech investors in Turkey, mainly focused on B2C, but also B2B investments.
Awesome. So I think, starting with the entrepreneurs, our 2 entrepreneurs, how do you think about, the opportunity in MENA from the vantage point of Turkey? So when you think about what you could do in MENA, what comes to mind? What do you think are the biggest opportunities that you see, but also what other Turkish companies see?
Yeah.
You want to start, Karim?
The proximity, we are close to each other, very close to each other. Also the culture-wise, we are close to each other. If you compare with US, if you compare with Kazakhstan, see, MENA region is the closest region for us, for Turkey, and it's a good market for us. In terms of my profession, the fashion, it's also the women's need is the same, combining style and faith together for our audience, and this is a great market for us. And there are some obstacles, of course. We'll talk about it later, I think. But also, Turkey can be a great market for Middle East entrepreneurs. With the 85 million population, it's a big market.
Excellent. Hande?
I believe things change every day. Every day things change. Most importantly, technology is changing. As a technology and product company, for the Middle Eastern part, I can see the opportunity that we can change the things also in this region, because as far as I see, still the MENA region, following the technology, maybe a little bit after Turkey, a little bit after Europe, and of course America. So if we can manage to change things here in terms of the technology, by bringing the first know-how, second product, and third technology here, then this market has a huge potential for us. For example, from our side, currently our sales cycles are shorter in this region compared to other regions. Our average revenues per account is higher. And most important thing is, just in a couple of months, we managed to have more than 40 partners. So in terms of the technological potential, as far as I see, for us, for Turkish entrepreneurs, it's a big opportunity. I can just look from the Turkish side, but I'm sure also Turkey has a great potential for the entrepreneurs from this region.
Excellent. I think flipping over to the investors in the room, What do you think are the kind of, I mean, we're working together at WAMDA with both of you around investing in a number of Turkish companies. And what do you think, from your perspective, are the main challenges for non-Turkish funds to start investing in Turkey in a bigger way, particularly funds from the region?
I think that naturally the VC business, the investor business, is a very unscalable and local business. I think that the stage of the companies at which we're investing at, it's challenging to have a competitive advantage in making an investment in a geography where you're not physically located. You have a big advantage if you know the culture, if you spend 24 hours a day there, if you know the customer behaviors, and you're able to be full-time focused on that specific region. As a result, we also experience that personally because we also invest in the US, for example. We invest in Turkey and the US, but our strategies in those markets are very different. So in Turkey, we have a leadership strategy. We're often the lead investor. Because we're there, we're physically on the ground, we're spending time there with the entrepreneurs. Whereas in the US, we have a very different strategy. We always look for a lead investor in that market. We don't fool ourselves by saying that there's a reason for an entrepreneur to take our money over somebody else's money that spends 24 hours a day in the US, all their time working with those entrepreneurs. However, we can de-risk some of the lead investors and their investments in those markets. So for example, if we invest in a seed round there, there's a $2 million round and $1.50 of that is already taken by a lead investor whose signal we trust, then we might be willing to accommodate the last 500K. And I think that is exactly also what the approach of Middle Eastern investors, for example, looking to Turkey, or Turkish investors, if we were looking to invest in the Middle East, also need to take. That working with a local investor who either participates in the same round or who has participated in a previous round in the company gives confidence, a signal of confidence for that company. I think a great example of that, by the way, is Modanisa. So we're investors in Modanisa. We were the original investors from Turkey, and in the latest round, STC Ventures, so from the region here, came into Modanisa. But the reason why they made the investment, though, while of course having a local investor is something valuable, it's not the decision was made based on the entrepreneur. So it's because of Kerim, it's because of his team, it's because of what Modanisa did that they made the investment. But now that they have made that investment, so although the entrepreneur was sort of lit the fire in that case, now that they have made that investment, we know the SDC guys. Similarly, WAMDA is an investor in another one of our companies, Volt. Volt, you invested in the company because of Volt, but now that you have established a relationship with us due to the entrepreneur in that case, in the future, because of that trustworthy relationship, we'll be able to work together on more deals. I think that's a long-winded answer to your question.
No, absolutely. I think the presence of a incumbent lead investor in geographies that are not our own, I think really brings a lot of comfort, and I think brings a lot of comfort for other investors as well. Numan, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. Same question. I mean, the way that I see is I 100% agree with the Cankut, because when you start investing in a new area or new another country or another region, you need to get to know the ecosystem, you need to get to know the legal system and understand what's happening in there, and that's why you seek the partners. And partnership is the best. I mean, I think one thing which we are lacking in this region is the syndicating the deals. Okay. I would love to see more syndications, both in my country, in Turkey, or also in Middle East, and also the cross-border between the countries or between the regions. So because that's the only way that we can actually bring the money to this region, and also to bring the companies up to some level that they can be more growth companies rather than early stage companies.
Do you see some interest by Turkish funds to invest in the region? Is it on their radar at all, and what's their perception of investing here?
You have to understand, I mean, 212 was the first fund in Turkey. So in our first one, we focus only in Turkey, but now in the second fund, we are going to focus in Middle East, also in Balkans. So we will be co-investing in the region. So there is an interest there in both ways to basically having the companies to open up to the region or bring other companies in the region. So it's going to be both way partnership there. I think there is an interest, and that interest is going to raise up more and more.
Excellent. Thinking through, you know, for the entrepreneurs, their personal experiences running their companies, and then for the investors, what they're hearing from their portfolio companies. As your companies start looking to kind of expand to MENA, what are the challenges you're facing, and what are you hearing from your portfolio? So what are your biggest obstacles?
The biggest one, maybe the only one, is the market education level.
Okay.
Because, as I told you, the world is changing, trends are changing. I think MENA region, especially in terms of technology, cannot follow these trends as maybe quick as possible. So in order to, for example, start to work with an account, first you need to let them to understand the importance of the technology. You need this technology to increase your conversion rate. So, for example, first 2 or 3 meetings at least, you can spend by educating the potential partner. When they understand the potential value of the product, then they become a potential customer. It was the biggest challenge we had so far in this region.
For us, the logistics, first of all, I can say, because when you think about Middle East, you need to think about cash on delivery.
Absolutely.
And
I think it's worth mentioning the difference between Middle East and Turkey on that, because there is a big difference. So do you wanna...
when we say cash on delivery, people click to the cash on delivery, we deliver, people get it.
Yeah.
So there's no rejection, like hardly any. But here we learned that there's a big chunk of rejection. And we don't know what to do with the rejection. We are taking the things from Turkey to Dubai, then to Saudi Arabia, and what if they reject it? You're with the dress, you don't know what to do. And you need to get it back to Turkey, which you need to pay another customs tax.
Wow. Yeah.
For your dresses to get it back. And that was right now we have a solution for that. Thanks to Aramex also. Now they reduced the cash on delivery prices first of all. Secondly, we don't pay if they reject. This is the second thing, and they call 3 times.
Yeah.
When they place the order first, then secondly when it arrives to the Aramex headquarters, then just before the delivery. Then right now we start to do it like 3 days ago, the first test, and we're going to be in the region with cash on delivery right now. This is the first thing, and remember, like we are doing fashion.
Yeah.
And so taste is another thing, and even the patterns are another thing. We are learning one by one. We are learning the market, we are learning the ethnic issues, we are learning the fabrics, we are learning the taste, and we have more than 25,000 SKU in our site. We need to curate the content depending on the market. We are also learning that, like who likes what.
Yeah. Andy, you want to say something?
Actually, if you don't mind, I want to ask a very quick question.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of cash on delivery currently?
For
the MENA region.
For MENA, we started just 3 days ago.
Yeah,
I can tell you in a month.
Yeah, I see. You can't understand yet. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think generally the point, like Hans is getting to, is if I'm not mistaken, there's a market difference in this between the percentage of COD in MENA versus Turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey has much higher credit card penetration. There's a better culture of using cards online to make purchases. Whereas in MENA, credit card penetration or not, the people just want cash on delivery.
Cash on delivery.
But
They
also,
just
I think this is all about taking this one as a granted. I mean, I think maybe all the e-commerce company needs to think a strategy saying, okay, no more cash on delivery, or price is minimum this if you want cash on delivery.
Yeah, I mean,
Take it or leave it.
some have done it. I mean, some have done it quite successfully. but they sort of hit a ceiling in terms of scale.
I mean,
But it's an issue. Yeah.
but I mean, what I'm seeing is that a lot of people, I mean, there is a problem there. I think that's in the region generally
Yeah.
happens. And then instead of getting together and then making a decision to execute this one as
Yeah.
an all e-commerce companies,
Yeah.
in order to compete each other, they basically try to kill each other because of this, not addressing
Yeah.
the real problem.
Absolutely.
It's also a barrier to entry for
Yeah.
the Middle Eastern entrepreneurs for
Interesting.
now.
Anyway.
And you know, back to Modernisa and your, I mean, you must, the region MENA is not one country, obviously. It's a collection of different countries. Have you found that you have to kind of tailor for each country, or is it able to kind of, are you able to kind of bring them all together and address them collectively?
You need a tailor. If you're in the fashion business, like even depending on the city, you need to tailor the stuff.
Yeah.
You need to learn the customers. You need to have a good CRM system to follow the tracks, and you need to deliver whatever they want to their door. Right now, we are not very good at it. We are learning. We are at the learning phase of it. But the answer to your question is yes. In Syria, it's something different. In Iraq, it's something different. In Jordan, it's something completely different.
And Cankut, what are you, from your other portfolio companies, what are you hearing are the, you know, the main challenges of entering the region? What are these companies looking for as they come here?
I'm going to take a slightly different perspective. So I think that our entrepreneurs, they're in the business every day in, day out. So they have challenges specific to their business. So we're also an investor in Insider. So in Insider's case, for example, yes, educating the market might be the specific challenge. In Modernisa's case, it might be the cash on delivery problem. At a higher level, if we look at those, though, how do you solve those problems? I think that it all comes down to people. From our perspective, when we look at each of our companies, we also have another business that operates in the Middle East as well. It's Dune.com. It's a wedding marketplace, so it connects couples with prospective people who are getting married with wedding merchants. Each of those businesses, the challenge in scaling their Middle Eastern operations is people. So, I mean, I know from Hande's experience, their launch in the region, it's literally Hande flying in and out and in and out and in and out of Turkey. Well, if there was somebody who we could bring on board that could manage that business as well as, or with a similar motivation to a founder, that we could identify, and I think the identify key part is key there, then we would gladly hand that off to that person. And identifying is the challenge because, and that's where I think having a local investor also is very, very valuable because we have a network in Turkey. We don't have a network in the Middle East. I have some classmates from undergrad and business school who I shoot some emails to and I say, you know, do you know anybody who'd be interested? Our network is 10%, not even 10% of the network that you have here. And I think that's one of the ways in which we can really help our portfolio companies is by having another investor on board who can help provide that network so that you can get to the people, and the people are going to solve those problems. The people are the ones who are going to educate the market. The people are the ones who are going to interact with Aramex and say, okay, how do I solve my cash on delivery issues? How do I establish workarounds for that?
Excellent. Numan, about your portfolio, how do they perceive MENA and the challenges here?
I mean, in our portfolio, there are a couple companies that are already moving in and doing different projects. We're also helping some of the Middle Eastern companies to come to Turkey and then establish the business. We introduce them to our network, finding the right partners in there. Because, I mean, it's basically, as John said, it's all about basically finding the right partners in the place. I mean, the way that I see is, if you are basically present in the one country, if your valuation is $100, if you are present in the 3-4 different countries, your valuation will be at least $200-300. Being a regional power is big, brings you a lot of value. So, I mean, I think if anybody wants to start a business in MENA, I will definitely strongly recommend them to go to the beyond that and then enter the Turkey or other countries. I mean, one thing which is, I think in Turkey, because of the, as you said, population is 80 million, yes, 35 million young people under 30 years old, and good economics, good demographics. But at the other side is also hurting the companies, especially startups, because they think, oh, 80 million is enough for me to do the business. I can come up to some valuation, but it's hard.
So
Unless
it's like a false sense of scale.
Absolutely.
basically. Okay.
I mean, that's why you see a lot of successful global startups from the Nordic countries, because smaller numbers, or even Israel, or some other smaller numbers, or Jordan, or Lebanon. If Lebanese company starts, they don't say that, okay, I want to conquer the Lebanon and then I will be the dominant in country. No, they want to look to everywhere. So you have to do that.
Absolutely. As I mean, you're all doing business in the region in different ways. How would you kind of compare and contrast the startup ecosystem as a whole in the region compared to Turkey particularly?
I think Turkish ecosystem now can understand more the ecosystem also in America, startup ecosystem in America, startup ecosystem in Israel, because they have also a very strong ecosystem. But still, I think MENA region has a little bit way to go in that point. For example, we are working in a we are working with our team in a co-working space. And as far as I see, for example, after 6 or 7, it's almost, empty.
Time to go home.
Yeah. For example, as Turkish entrepreneurs, we know that being an entrepreneur means work and life integration, not work and life balance. Still, that kind of things, actually, I couldn't see in the entrepreneurs of the region. Maybe I have a very small sample to observe.
So cultural differences in work ethic.
Might be. For example, I had someone local to my team. We have employed him almost 6 months ago. After 1 month, he decided to quit. The reason he mentioned was, I have never worked more than 5 hours in a day, until now in my life. I was shocked. So I think maybe cultural things. I think maybe they need to have more understanding about the ecosystem in other countries. I see that kind of differences generally.
Got it. Karim?
Khalid, I'm in a board of directors in one of the accelerators in Turkey called İTOHUM.
Yeah.
I witnessed the growth of the ecosystem in Turkey from 2006 to today for 10 years. And we have a little mature ecosystem there right now, but the momentum I see here is unbelievable.
So where do you see it?
You're going to get there very soon. What I see is, like in Turkey, as Numan says, we are completely focusing in Turkey. They are entrepreneurs. The difference here I see, the people are working international.
Yeah.
From Lebanon, I see companies coming here and opening up their stands. And we had a contract, 2 contracts from the 2 companies out of Dubai today.
Yeah.
And they're thinking more international. The difference I can tell. In Turkey, there's a very well-educated engineers you can find. If you want to start up for the startup community, this is one thing I see. And both worlds need to connect to each other, because we can create a much bigger system. The money here is much bigger, the volume is much bigger, and the market in Turkey is another key thing to grow.
Got it.
I mean, I look in a little bit different perspective on that one, because the way that I see is in Turkey, ecosystem is more homogeneous, because one country is big size and all the founders in the similar levels. Yes, we have the differences founder to founder. Not every founder is the same knowledge. Same as investors also. Some investors are the first-time investors. Some investors now have been in the market for a while. Some are just first-time. They are just entering the market. It's different, but it's more homogeneous. But when we look to MENA, okay, we say MENA, about 22 countries, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. Out of 22 countries, when we say the ecosystem, is actually only Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, and let's put all GCC into one. Yes, I know, maybe 5 more, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, so number is very small, and even for those ecosystem happening countries, levels are very different. So, and rest doesn't have it, or just starting. So that's why we see a lot of attraction here, a lot of things happening, and dust is out there. I think it will take a couple more years to dust to settle down, and we will see who's going to be forward and what's going to happen more. So I think that's the beauty in the region, that you can actually mix and match those things. That's what I love it.
We don't invest in the Middle East, so I'm not going to speak to the specifics of what seed stage startups or founders are like, how compare them with Turkey or anything. But from the perspective of an investor, sometimes there are times when I wished I invested in the Middle East. Because if you look at some of the companies that have, and the rounds that, at least we see the public headlines that are taking place in the Middle East, they're much, much bigger than what we're seeing in Turkey. Right? Kareem, for example, did a $60 million round. We're investors in a company called Bitaxi. It's the leading taxi hailing app in Turkey. Car hailing, private car hailing is illegal, so it's difficult to scale that business. But Bitaxi hasn't raised a $60 million round. It's as simple as that. Souk.com, it's a $1 billion company from what I heard from the headline valuations, right? Our equivalent of Souk.com is not a $1 billion company. It raised at around $400 million or something. That's public information. Property Finder, the biggest, I think it's the biggest real estate dedicated. So it's not horizontal. We have a big player in the horizontal space in Turkey, Sahibinden. But among the ones that are dedicated only to the real estate industry, I think Property Finder, it raised like $20 million at a 200 valuation or something like that from what I remember reading. We don't have a company like that in Turkey. So there could be two reasons for that, right? One could be that there's just too much capital and it's not being invested correctly. I doubt that that's the case. When you look at the investors making those investors, they are very experienced, reputable investors with great track records. They certainly know what they're doing just as well as we know what we're doing in Turkey. And benchmarks are commonly available across different countries, so those higher valuations suggest that those equivalent companies pursuing those models actually have a lot more traction and are probably have a lot more revenues, a lot more traction overall than the equivalent companies that we're investing in Turkey. So I think the Middle East has a lot to teach us, probably in trying to scale those type of businesses.
You know, as we're winding up, I think we've generally established that there's a kind of a need for integration that can work both ways. I think as a final thought, if you could kind of share your ideas of what we can do as stakeholders, as entrepreneurs, as investors, to better facilitate this integration. How do we make it easier for Turkish companies to come here, for MENA companies to go there, for us to invest there, and vice versa?
I have just one comment about this. I think venture capitalists or investors in maybe MENA region should be more brave about investing, because as far as I see, they are very valuable startups with really high potentials. But the investor ecosystem is not brave enough. We have very brave investors like Aslanova Capital, like 212. And they should be also more brave about investing in Turkey. That kind of syndicate rounds or that kind of co-investments will increase this synergy, I believe.
Cool.
What I see is the comfort zone is the key word. We need to get out of our comfort zones. As entrepreneurs, as investors, as anybody, we need to integrate, we need to talk, we need to search for the new things and new ways of collaboration together. That is one key thing. We are so close to each other, but we are separated. We need to cut those boundaries by smacking the wall and getting out of our comfort zones. I need to start cash on delivery no matter what. I need to come here and stay here and smell the opportunities and reach to the new markets. I need to come and talk to you, get your investment to Turkey also.
We're working on it, so we're doing it.
I got the message.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
It's the thing that we need to work hard and we need to get out of our chairs and walk.
Cool.
I mean, in addition to those things, I will say that keep the communications open and then start basically building up the network before, several months before you decided to enter the market. You need to learn it, you need to find the right partners, you need to have the communication, not after you made the decision, you start knowing the people.
Got it.
That's too late. Same as finding an investor.
John Kut, any final
I think it's
thoughts?
just building great companies. When you build great companies, we're geographically located close together. Investors flock to great companies. That's why it's up to, as much as we can reach out to VCs in the region, you can reach out to us. It depends on Hande, it depends on Kerim, it depends on other entrepreneurs to build great companies which cause other investors from other regions want to invest in those companies. Then, only then, after you guys have done your job, can we build relationships where you look at us and say, look, these guys are a good signal for our future investments. We look at you and say, look, you're a good signal for our future investments. And then the link grows stronger, but it's up to these guys to make it happen
I
in the
have
beginning.
one more suggestion actually, especially for entrepreneurs. Success comes with focus. It's not like just, visiting this market, staying for a couple of days, go back. It doesn't work like this. For example, for me, as one of the co-founders, as a start, I came here, stay for 3 or 4 months, build the infrastructure, and then things started to move. So it's not very easy to enter a market. It needs dedication and a strong focus, I believe.
Got it. I think that's all the time we have today on Turkey, but I'd like to thank all our panelists for a job well done. Thank you very much. Thank you.